So the next experiment is the sea surface interferometer. Here you have a transmitter and a receiver. Uh, Here, suppose your laptop is kept at some height and you have your mobile phone which is transmitting. So you keep some fixed distance between your laptop and the mobile phone. So there are some known quantities in this setup. For example, you know the height at which you have kept the laptop from this reflecting surface. You know the distance between the laptop and the mobile phone. And then you, at this fixed distance, you just have to vary the height of this mobile phone and see if you can get an interference pattern, and you note down these heights that you are measuring, that you are keeping your mobile phone at, and then try to see the signal that is received at the laptop. So of course there, one will be the direct path, the other will be the reflected path, and both these paths will interfere and give you an interference pattern as you move the height, as you change the height of this mobile phone. So you have to note down the points at which you get maximas and minimas, and this is a simple ray diagram, and you can actually use simple geometry to calculate what should be the path length, path differences given these quantities. You can actually find out the path difference in terms of the known quantities and verify that with your observations. So this is the rough idea of the experiment. Again, for reflecting surface, you can put an aluminum foil here down, and you can keep your laptop on a chair. And of course, you need a measuring tape to measure the height of the mobile phone. You can vary the height yourself and see the difference in power on the laptop. On the left hand side, this is the schematic diagram of an observatory where you had a receiving antenna on a cliff. There is a sea surface in front of this setup, and the source is in the sky at a very far away distance. So there will be two rays again here. One is the direct path, one is the path reflected from the sea surface. And then as the source moves in the sky, you see these maximas and minimas, basically the interference pattern caused by these two rays. And this was a very early setup used to do interferometry experiments. And here is on the right hand side, you see I have we have created similar setup. uh, I have kept it on my bed. It is not recommended to keep it on bed because the mattress is compressible and your distance and length measurements might be affected by that. So I have kept this laptop on two boxes, and there is an aluminum foil beneath it, and I varied the distance of my mobile phone from this other end of the aluminum foil vertically. Uh, One more thing to keep in mind is that keeping your laptop in this orientation is not recommended. You either keep your screen facing the other side because the ray might hit the screen and then interact with the antenna. So you might get third ray coming from reflected from the screen. So to avoid that complication, you can just turn your laptop sideways.
Do you know where the receptor antenna is in the laptop generally?
Yeah, it is
In the
mentioned.
laptop screen, around the screen.
Okay, so I think Ashish, what we had discussed was to turn the keypad away.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so the reflection from that is the one that coming in the way of the reflected ray was the issue. Okay?
Right. So,
Not the surface of the screen. Okay.
right. Also, not all laptops will have this antenna in the screen. Most of them, what I saw was the antenna was behind, underneath the keyboard. So some laptops might have metallic covering behind the screens, and that might cause a problem. But yeah, in both the cases, you can turn the laptop around so the screen is facing the other way to avoid these effects of like interactions of these surfaces of the laptop itself.
And also they can have the convenience of looking at the screen, right, without interfering with the experiment.
Right. So this is the rough setup. Also, again, I will mention that it is not recommended to do this on a bed, but if you don't have an option, you can try it. And also this height, you can try varying the height of the laptop above the this surface and see the difference in this pattern. Uh, you can try putting it on a chair or a small stool. It is also recommended not to keep this height too large, otherwise the reflected ray might have to travel much longer distance and it might not give you the best result. But those are parts of experimenting, and you can try different heights above this reflecting surface. Uh, and of course, you can try to figure out what is the expected uh, part difference between these two rays just from the geometry and verify that with your observations.
Yeah, much
So,
like the way you saw in the original cliff top
right.
interferometer, you will find that the easy calculation is made. A, because of the direct ray and the one before reflection are parallel to each other. Okay.
Yes.
Which is the case for very distant source, and that's not true in our case, as you will see. The second is you can imagine the receiving antenna or the radiating antenna, okay, in this particular case with reflection about the mirror. If you could go to that, yeah, right. So this will make your life easy in terms of calculation. Imagine that this mobile phone has an image downward here, right? Exactly same distance, h below the surface. And that would basically give you a easy geometry to work with for finding the part differences. After, of course, accounting for this extra pi phase shift due to the reflection. Okay. So you could take where the cursor is I think Ashish's cursor is, yeah. If you go down similar distance, Ashish, yeah.
Yes, here in this direction.
If you go similar distance down, okay, yeah, somewhere there, if you keep it. So the ray will go from there to the laptop, okay, which will be exactly the same direction, okay. And there is, so R1 and R2, R3 combination can be thought of as a single ray coming from the image of the green circle.
Yeah.
This might make your calculations easy, except don't forget to account for this extra pi. If you don't, then all that will happen is your minima will become maxima and maxima will become minima in your calculation versus the actual observation. So this is, and then you can work out the part differences and see how the height changes that.
Yeah, so that point is illustrated in this image on the left hand side, where you have the image of this receiving antenna, and then that becomes the baseline, and that determines the interference fringe width basically. Yeah, so any questions related to this experiment?
So here, if water is placed instead on the ground instead of aluminum foil, will work or not?
Yeah, you can do that.
Like here,
Except just be careful about what frequency you are operating at and how much absorption water has. It may not be a good reflector at all those frequencies. So just be careful about that. At what frequency was the sea surface interferometer done?
It was very low frequency. I guess close to 300 megahertz or so.
Right. At which the water is a good reflector. In fact, it also depends on the how pure the water is. Okay, distilled water has very different characteristics than
Okay.
one with salt. So sea
Okay, sir.
surface has a very special additional connotation about the salt content.
So can this method be used to see the contents of the base material also? No, like this.
Probably.
Not.
So what you will see is the depth of this modulation. Okay. For example, a clean cancellation would occur if the signals were of the same strength, right? Only then the cancellation can
Yes,
occur.
sir.
Correct? You can arrange for the phase shift, but you cannot arrange for the amplitudes to be same, right? And they would, in this particular case, differ. In our case, they might differ significantly because the R1, R2 plus R3 might differ very much, okay, in terms of their squares, and that itself will change the level of intensity, even if things were perfectly reflected. There is also another issue which I am not getting into about the near field nature of the reflected reflecting patch. Okay, it's very important, and this was one of the major considerations of the way if for example this receiving antenna had a directivity which could receive only the direct ray and not the reflected ray, right? You would not be able to see the interference that one saw, correct?
Yes.
This would happen if the reflected ray, the reflected patch was well beyond the transition zone between near field and far field, correct? Now this works because the receiving antenna is big enough and the patch that is responsible for reflection is in the near field of the receiving antenna. This would not work if the receiving antenna was small enough, okay, and had some directivity. Of course, they are mutually exclusive in the sense if it was small, it will look at broader angular range and so on and so forth. But the important part is that the reflected ray and the direct ray should have a way to be received with equal or reasonable respect by the receiving antenna, okay, in terms of its directional response. This is if the reflecting surface were to be in the far field.
Yeah, so how the absorption coefficient of aluminium compensates the power we will be recording, means noting down?
That will also play an important role, okay, but I think it's supposed to reflect pretty well, aluminum foil at least.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, it does have some, the finiteness of its conductivity or finite resistance will have effect, okay. But
Yes.
I think it will be minute, maybe beyond your detectable limits.
Okay, so all this means small variations and all we can left out from our calculations, right, sir?
Yes, because we, in terms of what, other reflections and so on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so there the simple argument that works is things that are reflected from distant reflectors, relatively speaking.
Yes, sir.
They have traveled long distances. The reflections also, they may not be perfect, okay? They may not be what are called specular reflections, okay? Not like a mirror-like reflections.
Yes, sir.
There might be also some scattering associated with it, okay? That means reflected stuff might go in various other directions than just the single
Yeah, different angles and all.
yeah, dictated by one ray path.
Yes.
So given all this, the weakness of the other reflections is what we are presuming in the relative sense, okay? And that the dominant effect of interfering with the direct path signal is for this, the situation that we're considering in different cases. And that's why one wanted to be roughly away from various other scatterers and so on. But even if they do exist, we can ignore these because you can argue on these two grounds that A, the distance traveled in the process is going to reduce the reflection amplitude, and you will also have imperfect reflections.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
So Desh, I just verified the sea surface interferometer operated between 40 and 400 megahertz.
Right.
Yeah, and no observations were made above 400 megahertz.
Right.
So would a polished floor work?
Yeah, depends on how reflecting it is. Okay. At optical wavelengths, it might be doing good job. You will see at longer wavelengths, what does it do?
So basically a tiled floor, because other issue is that because if we need a larger distance to get that much of a foil paper,
Yeah, right.
right? So if I use the floor, because the floor is like it's large tiled floor, and like it is reflecting optical wavelengths because like it is a reflecting floor. So if it's polished well enough, like would it work, or would it cause more reflected rays to interfere with the experiment?
Well, they will not reach the way, the other reflections will be going elsewhere, right?
Right.
In fact, the corollary of that is that if you do have only a small patch of foil, right, you can cleverly put it at the correct place based on the heights that you have chosen.
Right. Yeah, I did experiment with that. We have to calculate and we have to see where the reflected.
But since it will be a pain, certain patches you need not cover at all. Okay.
All right.
Isn't it? Because you're never going to have that situation for the height range that you might explore, right?
Yeah. Okay. Understandable. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So as Adish suggested just now, you then probably don't even need the entire aluminum foil if you can calculate at what point the ray will hit depending on the height. So you can just use a small household metallic plate to see the reflection.
In
So
fact, after keeping the edge, the two heights fixed, you can move the plate to see an enhancement or reduction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Except in some cases, based on the geometry and the way it will add, you may not be placed favorably to always get a peak, or you might be on some pattern, some location on the interference pattern. So that's why I don't advise that as the tool to figure out where you should
Right.
the reflecting surface. That cannot be trial and error. You can work that out and put it there and then take a measurement.
So the issue with that is that then we would get like discrete measurements, because interfering again and again, varying the height, we would also have to change the location of the foil.
Correct.
So it would be discrete measurements rather than continuous pattern.
Sir, while taking the height of the laptop and the mobile, should we consider the the wavelength of the signal that it is transmitting?
The high, while taking it, what you should take into consideration is for the range of heights that you will change through for one of them. you should see that the direct path and reflected path do develop enough phase difference to see enough set of constructive and destructive instances, okay, in the interference.
Yeah, in fact, if you
In
have,
fact, you can work out the phase difference and see what in one case what is the phase difference in one extreme and the other extreme, and keep the, don't take modulo 2 pi, actually keep the phase difference or part difference in units of lambda, and then see that that will tell you the number of fringes you are expected to get.
right, you can compare 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz fringes.
So this is a poor man's sea surface interferometer simulation. That's mainly because, like the astronomical source, which will have direct ray and the other ray before reflection parallel to each other, we do not have that luxury here.
So, sir, after completing the experiment, if we plot a graph, means like intensity versus distance, so we can get a proper, means if the experiments, if the readings we get it correct, we can get a proper maxima and minima graph, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so means it is like the mentioned here in the PDF. Okay, sir.
Yeah, you should be able to compare it with your theoretical calculation. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Expectation of where the peaks and so on should be. Yeah. Except while doing all these experiments, when you have a particular setup, do vary the orientations of the individual ends, either the mobile phone or laptop, to just make sure that it's not sensitive to a certain orientation. Or if it is, try to understand which way it should be for the situation you're going to use it, so that you're not cheated by the additional effect of polarization sensitivity. Are there any questions? These are very simple experiments. They illustrate some of the basic principles that we routinely use. And of course, the sea surface, the cliff top sea surface interferometer was one of the major breakthroughs in the way one did interferometry initially, using a single antenna, right? Without using a pair of antennas, and that has its very important role in the evolution of radio astronomy. Yeah, that should work. I think there was a comment from who? Ahmed. No, sure. There is no single ray. There is certain area, but you can also work out what area will be playing prominent role. Okay, and that's decided by the receptor and how it's going to look at it. Ideally, it's full Fourier optics that I mentioned last time in response to some of the questions. So any approximations we try to do with specific ray paths and so on is going to show up in the additional effects that would bring. So it's a wavefront essentially, and it's not just one ray. So you need to cater to all that, but you will find that if you go and actually do the sum and see what it really corresponded to, right? You will find that it corresponded to the sort of discrete ray description more closely than some other ray which was also participating but not so prominently. So another way of saying it is the average behavior from an area where the reflection is taking place is well modeled by the central path. Only to a certain extent though.
Is there any upper limit for the heights? After that, the readings will not be calculated, cannot be calculated.
There is, I mean, from the geometry, you can find out what is the maximum height that you should take it to for the distance separation that you've taken and the height of the other location. That you will be able to work out what should be the maximum height. There is also another consideration that the reflected ray, if it has to travel very long distance compared to the direct path, you will find its intensity is going to be rather reduced. and it will not give you a very deep null, or the destructive interference will not be deep enough. Okay, so you will find the depth of modulation or the fringes will not be very high.
So it will kind of act like an nth maxima or minima, if the height will be maximum, right, sir?
Yeah, but it will be sitting on a pedestal, which will be largely just the sum of the two intensities.
Yes, yes.
The direct path will be dominating, and the other one will do a small wiggle on it. Okay.
Yes.
Because it's not either enhancing or cancelling things effectively enough because of the reduced intensity. So that is another consideration, which will be probably more loose constrained than the basic geometrical consideration. Okay, that given the height and the distance, height of one of them and the distance, you might find there is the other reflector, whatever, receiver or radiator being at height beyond a certain limit doesn't fit in with the geometry.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you, sir.